Welcome to our webinar from LifeSite. My name is Ashish. I've also been joined from our teammates. We have Deepak, who is a multi-touch attribution expert. We have Joanne, who has worked pretty much with retail and e-commerce brands in the past 6 years. She works out of the US and she's our evangelist of LifeSite in the US and obviously globally as well. And also we have Shubham, who is the marketing mix modeling expert at LifeSite. For those of you who are not aware of what LifeSite does, LifeSite has been a leader in marketing measurements for enterprises and mid-market brands from the last 6 years. We have worked with around 500 plus enterprise brands and helped them with marketing measurements, footfall attribution, OOH, and all of the amazing things for helping them scale their business through marketing campaigns and experiments. Today, here we are to touch upon a very interesting concept and advanced techniques in the measurement space, which is multi-touch attribution and marketing mix modeling. The methodologies have been looked at pretty much in the last few years. A lot of changes have been contributed where marketers have faced problems with ability to trust their ad channels for attribution and make faster decisions in terms of where do they put their budget and get maximum business outcomes from it. So today, we're going to dive into how both of these methodologies can boost the ROI for an enterprise. So today, I've joined in with Joanne Factor, who is again the sales director, US at LifeSite. I have Shubham, who is the MMM expert at LifeSite, and I have Deepak, who is a multi-touch attribution expert at LifeSite. So the whole agenda is going to be split into, we're going to touch upon first, what do modern marketers need right now, right? So Joanne is going to lead that. Deepak is going to come in and talk all about what is multi-touch attribution, what are the benefits, how can you implement it at scale, what consequences and what business outcomes can you drive out of multi-touch attribution. And then Shubham is going to deep dive into marketing mix modeling and how it can enable your business. So Joanne, over to you.
Thank you. All right, everybody, how are you? Today, modern marketers need 3 questions answered. These 3 questions are going to determine how's your campaign running, what is the health of your campaign, how quickly and how closely are you to reaching your ROI. And these are important questions because there's no need for wasting time or money, and there's no need for guessing. So one of the questions is, well, what tactics are working best for me? So this is the $1 million question. This is a question that everybody wants to know, and we're currently all enthralled for many years using multi-touch attribution to answer this question. This opportunity allows you to leverage daily attribution data to optimize your channels, tactics, campaigns, creatives daily so that you can scale what's working and stop what's not. This is a moment for you to pivot, to pause, to take a deep dive into the health of the campaign. Multi-touch attribution is truly your real-time granular view into how the campaign is working. Secondly, how should I best allocate my budget to get the optimal marketing mix? So using the marketing mix modeling to answer this question, here in this strategy, you're going to leverage data from campaigns and conversion sources to train the model and predict optimal budgets to maximize outcomes. This is an AI-powered tool. This is the very core at what LifeSite has honed in on, has delivered, has built, and has become the expert in offering as a solution to our clients. This is where you're going to use historical data to predictively understand the outcome of your campaign. Pivot and look at your campaign, see what's working, see what's not working, reallocate budgets. This is your true answer to really understanding in a post-cookieless world, how are you going to manage? So the first party data, the quality of that information is a key ingredient in developing these predictive models. And LifeSite can help you qualify, and mine and hunt that information and that data so that your MMM strategy is on point every single time. No, again, no one has time or money to waste. So we want to help you steward the evolution from MTA, which is a practice we've all been using with cookies, into the cookieless world of MMM. And then finally, what is the incremental impact of my marketing channels? This is another great question we all have to understand. And understanding this depends on who is your partner, who is going to be the steward of the evolution process and taking you from MTA to MMM. So we're going to use incremental testing to answer this question. We're going to leverage data from campaigns and conversions sources to run GeoLift experiments to prove marketing impact on incremental lift in the outcomes. So again, predictive modeling, the quality of the data, the instrument, the platform that you're using, which would be LifeSite. And, we're offering full transparency. You will be running this. This is a SaaS tool. You'll see everything soup to nuts in a very granular experience. And you will know in real time, within 10 minutes, of where your campaign's going, how to allocate, how to pivot, how to turn. And your goals should be well within reach if you're using the right tool and product. And, we want to help bring that to you with ease, with the stewarding of our experience in doing this. And we truly believe in our ability to help you move things forward in a cookieless world. Okay, I'll hand it over to Deepak to continue the conversation. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Joan. The first thing that we have to keep in mind is that customer journeys have evolved to become extremely complex, right? And they're very cross-channel. So awareness, consideration, and eventual conversion, they happen across so many different touch points now. If you're a marketer, you're reaching out and touching customer devices across all these different channels, and it's a complex landscape. And in this landscape, the questions of attribution that you have are, increasingly harder to answer. The main questions would be, how can I assign credit accurately to my ad channels? How do I optimize my ad spend, right? So these are important questions for attribution, and they're quite hard to answer now. So the short answer is, we can measure all this fairly accurately through advanced attribution techniques like multi-touch attribution and marketing mix modeling or media mix modeling. We'll cover both of these in this session. But before we get into the details, I think it's also important to take a look at why it's tricky, right? What the challenges are and why this problem is so pronounced now. So broadly speaking, attribution signals are weakening, right? The in-platform reporting remains inaccurate. The numbers you see on your ad platform of choice, they're often inflated and they are often inaccurate. This leads to poor decision making on whether to cut, to lower, to hold, or to increase your ad spend on that channel. Now, this inaccuracy, one, is inherent to the ad platform, but another few reasons are of course due to the higher privacy framework that we have, right? Now we have all these click-to-track cookies. We have of course the loss of third-party cookies, and of course Apple's changes with both iOS 14 and the soon-to-release iOS 17. So these cut down on tracking options quite a bit, right? Even platforms like Google Analytics 4 or GA4, they aren't completely accurate. Data that you actually supposed to get into GA4 may not be received accurately by the platform. There's of course a delay in measurements, and it's naturally biased towards ads run on Google properties. Okay, and there's also no visibility on data coming in from other ad channels. So this doesn't let you compare conversion and attribution numbers between channels. Further, GA4 has also removed some attribution models. They removed 4 attribution models that were used by quite a few marketers, right? These are the first click, linear, time decay, and position-based models. Their rationale is that they're doing this to simplify measurement, but these models, they actually go a long way to give marketers useful insight into different customer journeys and different patterns, right? So I guess now is a good time for us to move into taking a look at some of these attribution models. So here we see just a few attribution models listed out. I'll briefly cover each one before moving on, because it's important to understand that it's the perspective through which you actually take a look at your attribution numbers matter a lot, right? And that's heavily controlled by the kind of model that you use. So of course, there's starting with first touch. Uh, Here, all credit is assigned to the first touch point in a customer journey, right? This kind of model is super useful when you want to track the channel that initially introduced a customer to your brand, right? It's a fairly simple model. The first touch point that the user interacts with before they come to your brand is the one that gets all the credit. Then, of course, we have the beloved last touch model, right? This is still the default model for a lot of marketers. It has its drawbacks, but the idea is this model lets you assign credit to the channel that directly influenced a customer's decision to convert. So even if one of your users have seen 10 different ads and finally seen a Facebook ad before they converted, all credit goes to the Facebook channel, right? So that's last touch. Then we move on to a much more advanced form of attribution, which is DDA, that's data-driven attribution. This approach uses machine learning to assign credit to each channel based on its impact and based on its impact on conversions, right? It provides you a much more probabilistic approach to assigning attribution credit, and it's very useful when you have a lot of data about your customer journeys. In fact, I believe DDA is a default for whatever you're looking at in GA4 now, right? It's heavily data-driven. Then we move to a linear model. So the linear model is super useful when you want to give equal credit to all channels a customer interacted with before converting, right? So as a simple example, if a customer sees your ad on social media and then visits your website, doesn't purchase, reads an email from you a while later, clicks on the link and converts, the linear attribution model would credit each of these channels with 50% of the conversion. So 50% to your ad on social media and 50% to your email campaign that you sent out. Then we have a time decay model, right? So the idea of this model is it's super useful when you want to give more credit to the channels that a customer interacted with closer to the time of conversion. So giving an example here as well, if a customer sees your ad on social media a week ago, then visits your website yesterday after seeing an email ad, and then converts today, the time decay attribution model gives more credit to the email ad than to the social media ad, right? Because that was further back in time. We then move to the position-based model. This is quite similar to the linear attribution model, but it gives more weight to the first and last interactions in your conversion path, right? So a very simple example, if a customer clicks on your ad on social media, visits your website using an SMS link, and finally clicks on an email from you and then converts, the position-based model would credit the first and last interactions with 40% of the weightage and the middle interaction with the remaining 20%. Okay, so these are, I guess, a quick rundown of some of the different attribution models that we use. Having said this, there is no one kind of attribution model that fits every business need, and that was what I was hoping to highlight by going through these different attribution models as well, right? The fundamentals of attribution, they involve having a pixel on your website. This pixel tracks where, how, and why a user visits your site using the UTM source, UTM medium, and UTM campaign fields respectively. Once we know this, user journey can be stitched all the way from an initial store landing right up to a purchase, right? An initial site landing right up to a purchase. This journey is what we're calling the customer journey, and all these touch points in between are possible candidates for us to assign attribution credit to. Data-driven attribution and multi-touch attribution, they're both holistic solutions. They consider multiple touch points, and they give you a better idea on which channels are actually contributing to any given conversion, right? So let's just go over some of the benefits of multi-touch attribution. Naturally, you get to see how much each channel actually contributes towards converting a customer. Okay, in the example before I mentioned as well, you could see very clearly which channel gets what percentage on the journey to conversion. You also get to see all the different stages of a customer journey, and MTA automatically takes into account the longer and shorter journeys, right? So we assign fractional credit where it's necessary. And finally, this helps you understand these journeys that customers take on your brand on the way to a conversion. So you can see how MTA is rather useful with this, with serving these purposes. So there are some limitations to a multi-touch attribution approach. It is based on UTM parameters. It's largely, so UTM parameters, as you know, are largely used for campaigns that employ digital platforms, right? It measures customer actions like click. This makes it rather challenging for these models to incorporate offline data, right? Offline data such as an out-of-home ad, TV ad, or a print ad. If you're running newsletters, if we are printing out these ads or showing them on billboards, there's no way for us for MTA to actually track this, right? But these can actually be very crucial components of an actual customer journey, of an actual consumer journey, right? MTA also has limited visibility into some external factors, right? So your seasons, your holidays, economic factors, as well as important information about your competition prices as well as competition media spend. This is where a solution like marketing mix modeling or media mix modeling actually helps, because here we can take data at an aggregate and give you insight as to how these non-digital touch points are also helping with your conversions. And now here's where I can actually hand it over to Shubham to continue with the ML part of things.
Thanks, Deepak, for giving those insights. In fact, one of the polls that we ran, right, if you can see, most of you who are here, this is live data out of people who is attending here, and 89% of them are facing inaccurate reporting on attribution, and they don't trust their ad channels with what they report. And this is a thing that we've been hearing from pretty much most of our customers as well. And I think we're right there in Lifesite solving this problem for you. So feel free to check it out, and then we can talk later on to solve for your attribution problems. So with that, I would love to give the baton to Shubham to take over and talk about marketing mix modeling.
Thanks, Ashish. Yeah. So marketing measurement has been in place from the time the mix of advertisement started becoming complex. So based on different business requirement, based on the evolution of technologies, different marketing measurement technologies are in place. And there has been an paradigm shift when more the digital focus of advertisement increased, and we had the tracking abilities. So that led to the marketing like multi-touch attribution or the in general attribution techniques being in place, where we are able to track each and every touch point of our users which are coming to our business, and accordingly measure the performance of different campaigns. So from that time, it started gaining more and more importance. But more recently, with the GDPR restrictions, with the privacy focus going on, like deprecation of cookies, so there have been some challenges to attribution methods of measurement, although they are still in place. But slowly, some more techniques are coming in, which are not entirely new, as marketing mix modeling has been in place from quite some time. But with the new challenges and with the democratization of the technologies, the easier access of the technologies, they have started gaining importance, wherein businesses of each size can now use them to measure their marketing measurement. Due to the different mix of advertisement which each business has, their different level of sophistication, it focusing on whether there are only digital media or there are both offline and online channels of advertising. There are different technologies, different type of methods available for marketing measurements, starting from experiments to tracking to modeling to surveys. So tracking, we have seen, as Deepak explained, that how attribution can track each and every touch point in the customer journey, and then measure the impact an advertisement campaign is having on the business. Then similarly, experiments are there, wherein we can experiment using simple A/B testing on the creatives, or we can do geo experiments. We can basically, our audience of the advertisement, we can split them in the very randomized control groups and then measure the performance of one group over the other in order to measure what incremental lift each of our advertisement strategies drawing to us. Third in that list is the modeling, wherein in this webinar we would be focusing on marketing mix modeling and talking about it. But there are other modeling techniques as well, which are lesser sophisticated than MMM, like causal inference, competitor activity, behavior-based attribution, device fingerprinting. So the modeling is all about wherein you don't have to do anything specific, but with the help of the data and the behavior available, we can run some models on that and find the patterns out of it to understand the impact of our advertisements on our business. And the fourth is the very, very common technique of surveys, like which includes the very common ones are the post-purchase surveys, wherein at the end of purchase we can ask the user where they are coming from which campaign they are coming from to understand the impact of again our advertisement campaigns on our business. So in the next few slides, we'll talk more in detail about a very sophisticated modeling technique that is marketing mix modeling, which along with multi-touch attribution can help give very strong insights about the advertisement campaigns and how they are performing and where we need to optimize, when we need to make changes to get maximum returns to our business. So what is marketing mix modeling? As I was telling earlier, that it is a modeling technique wherein we use statistics to find patterns out of our marketing data. So the data which we have is the which we use most in the marketing mix modeling. One is the advertisement spend data of our different channels or different techniques. And second, most important thing which we use over there is our business KPI on which we want to build the MMM model. So main input factors which we take over there is let's say your revenue, the business revenue which has been coming historically at a very aggregated manner, and the corresponding advertisement spends on different platforms. Along with that, what MMM also allows us is to capture the impact of other variables, both marketing and non-marketing. The marketing can be the organic marketing variables. So other than the paid spends, we are also doing lots of social media campaigns and many organic activities, direct marketing. So MMM take into account their impact as well. Then there are some external factors which affect our business, be it the any activity of the competitor, how competitor sales are going on, be it the economic factors including GDP or inflation, be it the impact of any pandemic, or the how seasons and holidays are impacting our business. Then starting from then other internal factors like we have been running some pricing changes, or we have been running some promotional campaigns or some discount offers. So how all of that along with the advertisement spend campaigns affect our business, MMM takes all into that account to find the patterns out of historical data, and then build the model and use them for future predictions. So we'll see more about that in the coming slides. Right. So yeah, as I was mentioning that MMM has been in place for quite some time now, especially with the privacy focus going on, and the big brands are already using them, wherein they mostly leverage the help of very advanced and specialized agencies to study their advertisement data and building models manually, and then suggesting insights from that, and then use them for their optimization campaigns. But with the focus, with the availability of technology and very democratization of that, now even the smaller size of brands or medium size of brands can also use MMM very easily. For example, you see here that not only the top consumer brands and B2B even the B2B companies have started using MMM to gain to study their advertisement campaigns and measure them very effectively. What MMM does is MMM tells you the impact of each of your advertisement campaign on your business. And how it does that, it collects historical aggregated data of your online media, offline media, your pricing changes, your external factors, builds regression models on that, study the patterns which are visible in the data, then build a very sound model by validating it on a portion of historical data and other statistical parameters. Then use that model to find basically the incremental lift you are getting from each of your advertisement tactic or platform. Second, to optimize your budgets. Using MMM model, you would be able to study that one particular tactic is bringing me a higher share of return and a better ROAS and lesser CPA. So I should be optimizing my budgets accordingly. So MMM helps you do all that, and with the help of self-serve tools like LifeSite provides, most of that can be automatized, and very simulations can be run, and different type of scenario planning can be done to find the best mix of the budgets across their distribution across the platform. Yeah. So what are building blocks of marketing mix modeling? What it is, what it tells us. So first, after building the MMM model, first it what it does is it measures the sales return of the investment of each of the marketing tactic and the channel. How much return a particular platform is bringing to our business over and above the direct channels, over and above a baseline. It helps measuring that without relying on any identity based data. Second, what it does is it helps us to optimize our marketing budgets. We are having budgets split across different channels, but not all of them are performing at same level. So marketing mix modeling helps us optimize that where we should be investing so that it brings us the maximum return. Third is after doing the optimization, after measuring the incremental lift, it also helps us in the forecasting that if we want to reduce the budget, reduce our budget, if we want to scale our budgets, where we should be doing that and what would be impact of that, whether we would be our incremental returns would be affected, or whether our ROS increases or decreases, whether our CPA increases or decreases. So forecasting those scenarios, MM model can help in. Yeah, we can. So what is life cycle of an marketing mix modeling? Life cycle of marketing mix modeling starts from identifying business questions. Before running an MMA model, we would have to answer some questions that what we want to do from MMA model. First is what is the business KPI which we want to measure? Whether we want to measure impact on our sales, the revenue which we are getting, or whether we are looking at measuring the impact on some particular things. For example, we have been running some campaigns on to increase the number of installation of our mobile applications. So how those campaigns have helped in achieving that target. So that can be a KPI. Second, the question which we need to identify before running MMA model is at which granularity we want to do that. Whether we want to compare at creative level, whether we want to compare at a tactic level, or whether we want to compare at a broad platform level. So those are the questions which we need to identify, and what is our advertisement mix, which we want to include in the MMM model, like all the offline channels, all the online channels, and also what are the different external factors which can affect our business, which we want to feed into MMM model to take their effect into account. For some businesses, the factors might be the competitor sales. There is a strong competitor, and how their sales are varying can be a factor for us. So for some businesses, factor can be, for example, the application ranking on App Store. That can be a factor which we want to feed into MMM model to see the impact. After deciding those answers to those questions, MMM model requires preparing data and configuring the model. So data here is the aggregated data and historical data. Depending on the granularity of the data, at least 3 months to 2 years of data is recommended to be used in MMM model, and that would be split at daily level or weekly level. After preparing that data of advertisement spends and the total business KPI, we feed it into the model along with the external factors. Then we run regression-based techniques and run over 2,000 iterations to find the best model, the model which is predicting our KPI very accurately, so that then we can use that model to find the performance of the different tactics or channels, and to use that for optimizing future budgets. Once the models are built, as they are statistical models, we also need to calibrate those models. So calibration can be done using two techniques. One is if we have outcome of any experiment done in the past, and second, any post-purchase surveys done in the past. Those can be used to calibrate the model, but this is not a mandatory requirement. Even after building MMM models initially, whenever we run any experiments or post-purchase survey in the future, we can use them to calibrate the model. Then once we get a good MMM model, we can use that for budget optimization, forecasting, simulation, and scenario planning. And yeah, so with what the tools like LifeSite helps over here is that once we made a model, we made some decisions, and the new data starts flowing in. So the tools like LifeSite can help in refreshing our models very frequently at daily to weekly level. That whenever new data is coming in, our model refreshes so that we can find in that whether the decisions we made on the budget optimizations are working in our favor or not, so that we can accordingly decide our future course. So that brings me to this slide, that what is different between a traditional approach to MMM and modern approach to MMM, because MMM has been in place for quite some time. So one major disadvantage about traditional approach is that they are generally run manually by specialized agencies who would collect in the data, run the models manually, and then suggest some outcomes which are then to be decided and implemented. And what's challenge over there is that by the time we get the insights and we want to implement them, some of that might become outdated and may not be relevant at that point. And there are many issues like multi-collinearity and overfitting, which running the models manually may not be accounted for. And it's very difficult to account for the factors like seasonality and holidays when we are running those in the traditional approach. But how the modern approach leverages the advanced technologies, wherein we can bring in and aggregate data very easily and then run models in between 20 minutes to 1 hour and get the insights immediately. And once we get the insight, we can run simulations on that, budget optimization on that, and start implementing our decisions. And the most important thing is that once we start implementing decisions, we start getting new data, and that keeps feeding to the MMM model and refreshes it very frequently, so that we know what's happening, and accordingly we can decide our future course. So how do we get MMM model ready? Yeah, as I was telling earlier, that one is the data preparation part, where we bring in data of our ad spend, data of seasonality, the sales which we are having, the business KPI. Then we put in the impact of seasonality, holidays on that. We configure it using the ad stock and the saturation parameters, run regression based models on that, uh, do the calibration and validate the model. And once we receive a model of very high accuracy, then use it to gain the insights and budget optimization. Yeah. So in the next few slides, what we would be seeing that what are the insights we get from MMM model, and how budget optimization is done. So some of the screenshots which we would be seeing are the actual screenshots from our LifeSite's MMM platform, which are run on a sample database. So here, the first graph which we are seeing is the share of spend versus the KPI. So what we were feeding to MMM model is just the spend data, ad spend data, and the total business KPI. What MMM does is it finds the pattern from that data and tells us that how much share of the KPI, whether it's the number of orders or the revenue we are getting from each particular platform, channel, or a tactic or a campaign. So it is telling us that if we are spending this much in a particular platform, how much the return we are getting out of that. And if these bars are for some platform are not in one line, whether there is a higher share of spend for a lesser share of revenue, then we would be knowing that something is not working well with that particular platform, and we should be optimizing our budgets, and we should be making some decisions on the budget. Second, the graph which we are seeing is the incremental returns over the baseline. So we all know that our business is not only determined by the ad spend which we are doing. There are lots of other factors which account for bringing business to us. Those might be the direct marketing channels, organic channels, or the impact of maybe the macroeconomics, impact of the pricing changes we are doing, impact of the seasons, holidays. So MMM accounts for all of that very well, and tells a very accurate baseline, that this is the baseline number of sales, so baseline revenue a business would be having, irrespective of the advertisement spends. And over and above the baseline, what is the share contribution of each paid platform in bringing the business. So in these graphs, we are saying that the gray part is the baseline in particular quarters, and how much incremental returns the paid platforms are bringing. So this tells very accurate picture, and helps us knowing what is true contribution of each platform, whether it's worth in investing in them. Yeah, this is again the same, the summarization of the previous graphs, that in this we are seeing that a particular business is having a baseline of 43%. So this 43% business is coming irrespective of the paid ad platforms, and different ad platforms are bringing 11% contribution and 10% contribution, and what is their CPAs in bringing that business. So it is telling us that for how much spend, how much exact contribution we are getting, and all of this is without relying on the self-reported returns of a platform. So this is not taking into account what Instagram is telling or what LinkedIn is telling, that this much conversion is brought by us. This is purely based on the historical ad spend and the historical KPI data. So next is very interesting tool which can be used on top of MMM model is the budget optimizer tool. So what budget optimizer tool does is, one, for your existing level of spends, how you can redistribute budgets among different platforms or different tactics or different campaigns to maximize your return. So in this particular screenshot, as you can see that the MMM models budget optimizer is suggesting to reduce on Instagram by 24 budgets on Instagram by 24%, and increase on YouTube by 41%. So these are for this particular scenario. It would vary for different businesses, and if we do that, it would help us increasing the returns which we are getting. What it also allows is that if you want to target a lesser or higher budget, let's say in this case we are seeing that 10% higher budget, then where we should be spending that additional budget, and if you want to cut the budget, where we should be reducing the budget so that impact on our return is the minimum. And one more scenario where budget optimizer helps is targeting a particular CPA or a particular return on ad spend. If it is telling that the current CPA is 1.89, if you want to reduce that to 1.7, for example, where we should be cutting the budgets so that with the minimum impact on return, we can achieve that target. And similarly, the case for the return on ad spend, if you want to achieve a higher ROS, where we should be adjusting our ad budgets. So how budget optimizer does that is using the saturation curves or diminishing return curves, which are basically the curves between your KPI and the spend on different platforms. How historically the pattern of the spend has led to the pattern in the revenue, and where does that saturate, where does that diminishing returns start coming in. So using that, it tells you the optimum level of spends, which would help in maximizing the budgets. Yeah. So after running for in LifeSite's MMM tool, for each budget scenario, we get a budget worksheet that, for example, in this we are seeing that the budget in both the current scenario and the recommended scenario is same, but their distribution is changed. And just by redistribution, this particular business has been able to achieve an incremental number of orders by almost 1,000 orders has increased by redistribution, and the CPA has been reduced from 1.9 to 1.8. So for different scenarios, different increase in budget, reduce in budget, increase or decrease in CPA and ROS, we get a budget worksheet which we can further leverage for decision making and start implementing the findings. Yep. So this was all about how MMM is prepared, and how we can prepare the data, build the models, and then use that for getting incremental insights and running budget optimizations. In this particular slide, what we see is the comparison between MTA and MMM. None of them are like fully exhaustive that one can solve all problems of measurement. But if they are used in conjunction with each other, they can help in achieving great insights and optimizing the budgets. So what MTA help in that it can help in day-to-day decision making and the short-term decision making, and when the user level data is available, where we can identify each and every touch point and can see live that how the business is flowing. We can get the customer journeys and which touch points we should be investing more on. So it helps up to that. What MMM helps in when there is the mix of the marketing is very complex, whether when there are lots of offline channels of advertisements and there are also offline stores where our business come in, then MMM becomes important. Second is when the identity level of data is not available easily and there is some challenges in tracking individual based data, then also MMM gives a very good insights at slightly broader level. And also MMM can help in making future predictions, optimizing budgets, and doing the scenario planning. So yeah, that's how both of these methods complement each other and can be leveraged very effectively.
To give you a quick difference from MM as well. So MTA, the multi-touch attribution, it'll be useful as a single source of truth for your customer journeys, right? Journeys that lead to a conversion, right? It's all based on user data, that is different user journeys and different user conversions. It's useful for short-term ad spend adjustment based on your return on ad spend and customer acquisition costs for new and existing customers. And it lets you track conversions for a channel, drill down into the performance of campaign, ad set, or ad. Now, all of this is, again, just one aspect of attribution. The other aspect is exactly what Shubham covered. It's nothing else to add.
Here we are seeing that we have seen that marketing measurement is a complex process and there are no perfect answers to that. We all know that. So we need a different set of techniques at different funnel levels to understand how our advertisements are performing and where we should be doing the adjustments. So wherein the multi-touch attribution helps us measuring each and every touch point and gives very basically help us testing the very day-to-day hypothesis. Uh, in turn, the MMM model is used to make the future predictions and helps us filling the gap where MTA may not be suitable. Then there is also a third technique, which is the incrementality testing technique, which you can say a gold standard technique, wherein we can exactly test between the randomized control audiences or geo-based audiences to validate our decisions, which we are making using MTA and MMM and testing a particular hypothesis. And in turn, the incremental testing can also help us in calibrating MMM model. So so there are both the uses of incrementality testing, and when each of these three techniques come and triangulate, that helps us achieving a very good decision making and make us the kind of decisions which can really help in maximizing our returns.
All right. Thank you so much, Deepak. Thank you so much, Shubham. I think that gave us a lot of understanding about when does multi-touch attribution help you, when does marketing mix modeling help you. I hope everyone joining here got a lot more understanding on that both of them, while there are different methodologies, you don't compete with each other, but the way that you use, right, of them is for different outcomes. MTA is very gives you more granular data about the customer journey, gets you to attribute your sale, to your conversions and to your channels much better. Helps you in a very daily, weekly process of making decisions on your campaigns. While MMM gives you more depth into considering all the data possible, right? Online, offline, marketing data, any sort of other data that you have, and take a lot of decisions to gain more, revenue. It can be revenue in the case of some businesses, or it can be app install, store orders, whatever is your North Star metric. So I hope everyone got a better understanding of how both of this can tie into your business. And thank you so much, guys, for also engaging in our polls. It gives us better understanding for how we can help you solve your marketing measurements. Right. So I think, Shubham, there's one question for you where there's a question around when you run a product campaign, while it is marketing source, sales get a little bit of credit, more credit for that, right? How do you help a business in this situation? How do you help give the right credit, right, on who brought the revenue.
Yes, so the first point is, I guess, how we measure conversion, right? Because to attribute something, you need that something in the first place. Like, what do you attribute to? So when you say that sales gets, I guess, more credit on this product upsell, what is the final conversion metric that you're looking at, right? If that conversion metric is something like sign up or some kind of event that we can measure, which comes with a UTM tag, we're able to clearly mark where that conversion came from. If it came from sales related activities as well, if there's a specific link that I guess the end customer uses to actually sign up or to convert, then we're able to measure it. So like we're able to tell you exactly what the difference is between sales led activities and non-sales led activities that led to conversion. It gets a little more tricky when there is no such indicator, there is no such UTM tag. This is where you need to take a look at data as a whole, right? As an aggregate. So what could tell you is what's the contribution of these sales related activities finally to your conversions. Like they give you an overall percentage instead of saying, you know what, this particular campaign led to this conversion. So it's more at an aggregate level. So correct me if I'm wrong, Shubham, but we can also put in a parameter which is, has to feed into the model, which is something like number of sales related activities or some kind of sales metric uh, along with the ad spend, along with the, I guess, the impressions, the views, and everything. So this parameter could act as a proxy for exactly the problem that you mentioned, I think.
Yes, most definitely. So the baseline is something which is including everything which is not coming from marketing, marketing related things, and there is possibility of splitting that baseline into different things, and wherein the sales metrics can be one thing, and you know how much is the sales driven things are bringing the business. So yep, so MMM can take those into account, both the any type of internal variable or the external variable which is of marketing and non-marketing nature, and then decide the true contribution the each way of doing things is bringing the business to.
Thank you so much, guys, for answering that question. If you love this webinar, so thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Hope you had a great time today learning about marketing measurements and how you can boost your business with LifeSite and all the things that we provide. So have a great day. Keep growing, keep building.